Welcome to this episode of The Connect, where you get real news from real people from right now. I am your host, Chiquista, and with me are my fellow co-hosts, Deloris Williams and Dee Boone. What's up, ladies?
How
Hello,
are you,
hello.
everybody? Hope all is well. Excited about today.
Yes. Today, we have a very special guest. So we have Miss Eliza Dukes-Carter. She is a certified stress management counselor. And let me tell you a little bit about her. So she is the CEO of the Breathing Experience, which is an award-winning company. She is court approved to work with human trafficked girls and at-risk youth, and she's a best-selling author of I Am a Victor. She has also been featured on CBS Philly, Philadelphia Sunday Sun News, and Fun Times Magazine in Philadelphia, PA. So I introduce to all of you Eliza D. Carter.
Woohoo! Awesome.
Well, hello, everyone. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here. And I tell you, it has been a phenomenal day. So how's everybody doing?
Doing great.
Phenomenally. Okay. I love it. A lot of my words come through. I love her already, y'all.
Yes, awesome. So, Mrs. Carter, tell us what you do and why you do it.
Oh, my goodness. Well, let me just start by saying this. At the age of 8, I knew that I had a special gifting of counseling. I started counseling my friends, and it just went through high school. And when I got out of high school, guess what? I didn't go to school for counseling. I went to school to be an attorney.
Wow.
And I got partially through it and realized that was not my gifting. And so I got hired at a job. They put me through school, and I learned so much about how my innate gift was following me all over the place. Because even though when I was working in the law field, I was still getting calls to counsel people. So I literally had to align myself with what I knew was my gifts, my talents, and my core strengths. Fast forward to 2012, I began this journey of being on high blood pressure medications because I was stressed. And I said to the doctor, from the first time I took the pills, about the third day, I had a pain in my side. And I said to him, I said, this is not going to work. So I began to pray and ask God for some real solutions because I knew the body was designed to heal itself.
Yes.
So in my research, I found that deep breathing was a main key component, a self-therapeutic tool that would allow me to lower my blood pressure and get the clarity that I needed to start releasing those stressors and identify where my stressors were. Who was it? What was it? And why was it? So I had no idea this was going to turn into a business. But as I lowered the blood pressure and got off of the medications, bam, here comes the breathing experience. Because one thing for certain I learned was our breathing is an experience. It's the breath of God. When he breathed the breath of life into us, he breathed healing.
Come on now.
And he breathes spirit. So everything you need is in that breath. It takes the toxins out. It gives you the clarity. It lowers the blood pressure. And it raises the quality of your red blood cells. Nothing does anything like that but deep breathing. And I know over 15 different rhythms. So, the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because in the African-American community, heart disease is our number one problem. And the stats are off the chain because between the men and the women, we think that one would be worse than the other, but we're about the same place. And we have the highest incidence of heart attack and stroke. And it's time for us to understand that it is actually preventable if we take the necessary steps.
Love it.
Well, I have to say that I find what you're doing very interesting because one of the things that I do when I'm doing training or coaching is that I explain how, as adults, we are shallow breathers. And the fact that you are using, deep breathing to create better health is very unique and dynamic. So tell me more about that. And why, but yeah, let me preface the question is, why are we such shallow breathers as adults?
Because one thing is that we're already stressed.
Mm.
And our nervous system is already impacted all day long. And we're already going on the fight and flight syndrome and freeze syndrome, because every time you get upset, your body is signaled to slow down in its breathing. So it's an automatic response. So we can even do a little test right now. If you put your right hand over your heart and put your left hand right above your belly button and take a few deep breaths. And ladies, mostly when I look at you, I see your chest rising. And so that means right there that you're somewhat still of a shallow breather. Because one thing, when you begin to practice deep diaphragmatic breathing, you understand there's two components. When you're breathing in, you're pushing out your diaphragm. When you are breathing out, you're pulling in your diaphragm. We normally breathe opposite of that. When we come out and we're babies, we know how to breathe. But as soon as stress, trauma, depression, or anything negative that hits our mind and causes the central nervous system to react in a negative way, we start breathing the opposite of what we were designed to breathe.
Wow.
Wow. That is mind blowing. So the breath that we take in and exhale out is really giving our life sustaining. It's making our life sustaining, and it's just something that we're not doing because of stress and anxiety and all that awful stuff.
Absolutely.
And I gotta get better at breathing. That's what you're telling me.
Because it really, it's an experience. It is an experience like nothing else. It disconnects you from all the outside forces and allows you to go within where that inner peace is, that comfort, that solace is. And you can create that experience anywhere and anytime that you need it.
Mm.
And I want you to share a little bit about what we were talking about earlier about the mask and how it's kind of complicating the breathing as well, right quick.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you this. I was traumatized by the mask when I first put it on. Because when I first put it on, I knew that it was already blocking my ability to breathe freely. Mm-hmm. And so I was constantly taking off saying, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And here's a stress management specialist. Don't deal with this stressful moment. But I realized in that moment, part of my issue was, and which majority of my issues is that our oxygen levels go down once we put the mask on. So what we should be doing is doing a few deep breaths before we put the mask on, so that we can have the oxygen circulating through the blood, through the organs, and raising your clarity and allowing your cognitive skills to operate on a higher level. And then when we come out of the building or wherever we're at and we take the mask off, we should do some additional diaphragmatic breathing, because that allows your body to reset itself where it needs to be. Because we don't know when we go into these buildings if they clear the air ducts properly, and if they're not, then we're breathing in stale and toxic air. Yeah. Because the windows don't open anymore in the buildings, right? You get the door opens for a few seconds, so no fresh air is really circulating in and out of these buildings, and even in and out of our houses. How many of us open up our windows during the wintertime and say, I'm going to let some fresh air get in? Very, very few of us do that at all.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for touching on that. You talked about initially that there were some self-therapeutic tools that you learned how to use. Can you share some of those with us and our audience?
Yes. And I'm going to even give you a surprise one that I don't share other than my group, because I think this is really profound. But the deep breathing and the meditation. I do a 4-step meditation, because most people think that, meditation is listening to some music, is journaling, but it's a little bit more than that. We need to do brain dumps. A lot of times when we're feeling chaotic, we're feeling overwhelmed, we're feeling pressured. If you were to just write down some of the things that you were feeling, guess what would happen? It would come out of here and go onto paper. And it would be easier to sort through your emotions when you get it out of your head. But as long as the bees are flying around and you're like on the airport, thoughts are coming in and they're going out, it overwhelms us. Once again, it signals the central nervous system, you're stressed, you're depressed. It takes your heart rate up. So it kind of acts like creating a tsunami affecting your body. Everything's out of whack because you're stressed. So if you just take a few moments, get it out for your mind, and put it down, it's a lot easier to sort. And another thing that I offer also is stretching. When we get up in the morning, when we stretch, it's so vitally important because a lot of us sleep in the baby position, and so our bodies are all cramped up. Our organs have suffering all night because we're all, impacted with this position. And if you watch an animal, especially a cat or a dog, if you've ever had one, the first thing they do when they get up in the morning is what? That elongated stretch, and they don't let nothing and nobody interrupt it. And when they're into it, they look like they are so into it. We have that same mindset. When we get up, we stretch and realign our bodies and realign our energies, you know what I mean? And allow our bodies to begin to operate and our organs to begin to start working internally and agreeing with one another and bringing the self-harmony that we need to experience. And that is such a phenomenal way just to start in the morning. Or I'm gonna say this too. We've been sitting at this at our desk all day. We should be stretching a little bit, you know what I mean? And releasing and letting stuff go, because there's such a freedom in stretching. And we don't understand the benefit if we're not doing it consistently. You should be getting up from the computer at least every 30 minutes. That used to be a protocol when we first started using computers. I started using computers in 1986, and that was a protocol. And now we've completely done away with all of those simple self-therapeutic tools that can really help us to refresh ourselves. I always say, if you can push the refresh button on a computer, you should be able to do the same thing for yourself.
I love it. I love it. I also want to know your thoughts on what are some benefits of long-term medicine, or the effect of medicine that it will have on people long-term dealing with the body.
Well, that was one of the reasons why I was so adamant that it was a goal for me to find the way to see how my body could heal itself. Because we know our bodies were designed by God to heal itself. And so because I know, and from the research that I've seen, and all of the clients and family members who begin to have some kidney issues, as I've done the research, I found out that majority of the medications do not process through the kidneys. And a lot of us don't do juicing and get enough fluids in our bodies, and we're dehydrated and we don't detox. And so many things we don't do to care for our internal organs. So when we get on these medications, we trust the doctor more than we trust God. We trust the doctor more than we trust the process that is natural to rejuvenate and replenish and be the healing source for our own bodies, because we're willing to find those solutions and put them in place. But, we've got to get to a place where we continue to care for the whole person and not just part of ourselves. We can look good, but we need to feel good just as well as we look good.
You better come through with all this truth.
Amen.
Okay, boom, 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 boom. Okay, listen. Y'all better be taking notes out here, because she is not playing. Okay, with this revelational knowledge. Okay, listen. Let's shift for a second. We're gonna go exclusively to the woman. Okay, men, hold on for a moment. Women, they tell us, that there is something that happens as we get to a certain age. This thing called menopause. Let's talk about it, Miss Eliza.
Well, menopause was very hard for my mom. And she came to me because she was always very open about stuff. So she came to me and says, listen, honey, I am going through one of the toughest times of my life. And I'm in menopause. I'm having hot sweats. She says, I start running, I start crying, and I don't even know why I'm doing it. She says, and I just need you to kind of be patient with me right now. I'm a teenager. I'm looking at her like, I ain't even got a menstrual. You talking about some menopause, but it impacted me. When I got older, and like my 30s and 40s, I started saying, I'm not going to have no problems with my menopause, because I had a frame of reference from my mom. And I began to declare this over my body. I ain't having no hot flashes. I ain't going through all these off and on periods. I did go through the off and on periods, but today I can honestly say I do not have hot flashes. And so I found that the deep breathing, because it regulates the hormones, it was a catalyst to stop from me having the actual hot flashes. And anytime I thought I was going to, be in a stressful situation, I would add deep breathing in just to make sure it was a preventive measure, that my mind was open, that my energies were in a space of peace, where whatever showed up, I was prepared to do it. So I'm telling you, it really works. If you work it, it will work well for you.
Love it. So while we're on women, they always tell us that we need to take a physical and get our mammograms done each year. So tell us some insight of your experience with the mammogram.
Well, back to my mom again, right? Bless her heart. She transitioned this year in February, and I'm just grateful that she is no longer in pain, but I really do miss her. And I'm grateful for all that she poured into me and taught me to be the woman I am today. Um, well, when it comes to the mammogram, now, ladies, every time I went to go have one, it hurt me like I don't know what. I'm like, whoever made this machine don't like us because it is way too painful, So the experience wasn't good. And a lot of times when our experiences aren't good, we don't usually go back and try and continue in that area. So I began to do some research, and this is one thing I did do. I began to talk to the ladies when I would go to the doctors with my mom, and because one particular time I was in a room with 7 women who had their breasts removed. And do you know each woman had their left breast removed? I thought that was really weird. Okay. I thought that was totally weird, but nonetheless, so I began to research and tell the doctor that, one time I had an incident where they did the mammogram and then she came back and said she saw some tissue that was clumped together. So they wanted me to do an ultrasound. So as I did the research, I found that there is radiation that goes into your breast when you have the mammogram. But when you have the ultrasound, which they can see everything and it's painless, it doesn't cause any side effects. So I went to the doctor and I had to get approved, pre-approved for me wanting to get the ultrasound. And so I had the ultrasound and, the doctor was really kind of upset with me because she felt like I bypassed the process. But, they're designed to be in a system that requires them to make us do what they want us to do. But you have to now govern yourself to know that your spirit will speak to you and tell you some things you simply do not have to agree with.
Exactly.
So I did not agree with the mammogram. I had the ultrasound and I have been fine. They haven't found anything. And one other thing I didn't do, I didn't tell my mother's history because I know they take your parents' history and they pressure you with it as though they want you to know that because my parent had diabetes or had hypertension or had cancer, you're a likely candidate to have it too. No, I'm not. I have my own quality of how I treat myself, and I am not going to make their issues my issues, even if it could be genetic. I'm not going to accept that from the beginning. I'm going to take care of myself and keep my mind clear. And I believe that we have to start taking more authority when it comes to our medical treatments, because once again, we know the history of what the medical treatments were, So, if you believe it, it's your life.
Wow. I find this absolutely fascinating, especially when we're talking about menopause and women's bodies. It's always highly associated with flashes, or personal summers. But there's another area that is not really talked about, but was the sex in menopause and how it affects the body, the area of the vagina and the inner parts of it. Can you go into that a little bit and explain, what happens to a woman's body as menopause starts to happen upon them?
Well, one thing that happens is that we don't recognize a lot of times when the period stops. We're so happy and excited about it. We don't think about as a whole what's down the line. So when a menopause happens, the lining it gets thin, and so the one thing that the doctor usually wants to do is put us on a more estrogen. And I find that one of the biggest things we stop doing in menopause is taking baths and really cleansing the bottom part of our body. The biggest thing now is the yoni steams. And I've had the yoni steams. I think they're phenomenal because just like you detox your organs, you need to detox that organ. Taking a quick shower is not beneficial. I still put herbs in my bath. I still make sure that I'm cleansing my vaginal canal because I'm in a different space. You know, a lot of women are dealing with dryness, and a lot of times it has a lot to do with your eating. It has a lot to do with the things that you are eating and the things you're not eating, and the fact that we're not staying hydrated and that we're drinking too many sweet drinks. And so we're causing our organs to not function properly. And that's a huge organ, you know. I think we really got to get to the place again where we really take better care of ourselves and take baths, because baths are refreshing, they're renewing, they're stimulating, and they're healing, and they're cleansing. And we have to continue to cleanse our bodies.
Wow, that is very powerful. And what are some of the things that you put in your bath to help detox the body, the female body?
Once a month, I do pure salt. You know, yeah, I do, and it's the Himalaya salt, the pink salt. That literally goes in and it detoxifies everything. You know, then I do a combination of echinacea and I bring some spices that I have that my girlfriend have. I can't think all the names of them right now, but she does a combination of them. And so and she actually grows them on her farm. So I get the freshest herbs. And I put them in the bath. But this is the thing about it. It's the preparation that comes in place too, is that you first have to know how to properly steam the herbs, because if not, you'll cook them and you won't get any benefits out of them. The temperature of the bath should be really as hot as you can stand it, you know. And I just suggest at least once a week that a woman take a bath. And if not, at least once a month. And when you begin to create that experience for yourself, light some candles, put some soft music on, you know, this is your time to rejuvenate, you know what I mean? To replenish and to restore yourself. Because what? You've been giving out to everybody all day, all week, all month. Give back to yourself in a bath and begin to hear what your spirit is saying to you about taking better care of yourself.
Oh, I like that idea. Like it a lot.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Baths are from the Lord. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. They
Well,
are.
Queen Esther did them, right? She talked about all the herbs. You can go right into her book and get all the herbs that you want to get and put in your bath and make sure that you have the quality of healing that you deserve.
Absolutely. Just call me Bathsheba. All right. Now listen. So let's go a little deeper into the psychology of people, because not a lot of people, you're a counselor, you're helping people set up techniques and learn different things to deal with trauma and stress. But, you know, a lot of people who look like us, they'd be like, that's for them white folk. So why do you think that our tribe of people, our culture avoids therapy or going to see a specialist in the area in which you specialize?
Well, when it comes to mental health, you know, growing up and looking at our ancestors, sitting at the table and everybody having dinner was therapeutic for us, because everybody asked somebody a question about their life and you got to explain yourself. You got to share, you got to release, you got some good information that you could take away and add to your life. You got great advice from, you know, our grandparents and our parents. And so even though that has been broken up, I find that has happened when I've talked to, well, let me just back up and say this. When I do an assessment with a woman, I know if she needs therapy or if she needs my self-therapeutic tools. If she is stuck in a place where she is dealing with a lot of anger and resentment and old trauma, then she needs to go to a therapist, because she needs to be able to talk and release. And I think a lot of us avoid going to the therapist because we don't trust. We don't think they really can help us. And we've not had any kind of real experience to know, is it an opportunity to help me through my traumatic experience? Is there real help for me to help me feel like I could live life differently and get past whatever I'm experiencing, you know? And so when it comes back to me, when I do an assessment, I can look at a person through the questions that they answer and see exactly if they're ready to take action to start using the tools and apply them to their life so they can process through those moments of stress once they identify what they are. And then I do a full assessment behavior wise to find out what their personality style is, how they respond to stress, what their public self is, what their private self is, and what their perceived self is. And then what their biblical gifts are and talents and core strengths. Because even though we've been operating in them, when you can see who you are on paper, it changes your trajectory. It gives you such a motivation and a confidence and a courage to go on a higher level on how you deal with life and how you allow life to deal with you. So, I think that if we could get to the place where we could embrace more safe spaces, we'll do a lot more therapy, and then we'll do the self-therapeutic tools as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're
So
welcome.
listen, as you can see, she is a wealth of resource and knowledge. How can our audience connect with you on a deeper level?
Well, I want to offer first that I do a complimentary class starting in January. I'll be doing it the first Sunday, but my last Sunday for this month is this Sunday. It's at 8:30 on a Sunday night. And so you can go to elizadukes.com or the breathingexperience.com either. You can text me at 302-300-1884 and enroll in the class. I'll send you out an email. Once you send me your email, you have all the information to get on the Zoom, and you can invite anybody you know. I share some of the breathing techniques, and we have a discussion, and I give out some nuggets that I think would help you to prepare for the week and how you want to begin to handle yourself and deal with some of the common challenges that you have throughout the week. And then just get yourself in a mindset, you know what? I'm going to let some of this stuff that I wasn't designed to carry go, because it's all about your choices. What do you choose to feel and accept? And even though our levels of trauma is different, the pain still remains the same. You have to make a choice on how you want to show up for yourself first so that you can show up in life as your healthier, happier, and more vibrant self.
Awesome. All right. Before we leave, do you have any final words you want to leave the audience with?
Commit to yourself to do for yourself what is best for you, because you've been doing everything for everybody else. And then you find yourself fragmented and broken. And at the end of the day, you have your own thoughts. So commit to something, whether it's going to the gym, commit to a woman's group, commit to reading and doing some things to empower yourself. But make sure whatever you commit to, that you're willing to go the whole process until you experience the level of healing, rejuvenation, and restoration that you deserve. Because you deserve to feel healed and whole. Because healing is our God-given right. And it's simply your choice to take the action. Stop procrastinating. Because when you hear information, you're supposed to take action because it resonates with you. It was designed for you to be at that place at that particular moment so that you would have an opportunity to get your prayer answered. Now you've got your prayer answered. Take action so you can have the healing and the experiences for life that make you feel so good and so well and so whole.
Yes. Well, you have heard it here on the Connect. So definitely connect with her on her website. Give her a text. And I hope I put that right. 302-300-1884. Awesome. All right. So until next time, listen, guys, we say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you wherever you are in the world. We bid you adieu. But before we go, we're going to drop the commercial from our title sponsor. So just hold on one moment while we play that for you. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Chiquista, brand ambassador for Dollar Bra Club. What is Dollar Bra Club, you ask? Well, it's where we send breathable bras directly to your doorstep for just $1. $1 a month. I said it. What are you thinking? Are our bras any good? Absolutely. It's better than how they made you think we went to the moon.
But we did, though.
Our bras won't give you fore boobs.
Facts.
Definitely won't poke you in the side boobs.
Facts.
Won't give you those cone boobs, and you
Facts.
definitely won't look like your grandma.
Big facts.
Dollar Bra Club is as easy as putting a salad in a toaster.
What is that?
Do you really need to spend $150 on bras from big name brands like Lane Bryant and Victoria's Secret? I mean, only $2 of that goes towards making the actual bra.
Shots fired!
So stop stressing about where you're going to get that next good bra from and start celebrating all of these hundreds of dollars that we're going to save you, because we're the DollarBraClub.com, and this is why we're hot. Hey.
This is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot.
Hey, this is why we hot. Hey, this is why we hot. Hey, this is why we hot.
Any words you want to say?
Wake up, baby.